This is AgriCountry, brought to you in part by Alice Chalmers and your nearby Alice Chalmers dealer. And here's your host for AgriCountry, Ed Johnson.
Good morning and welcome to AgriCountry. We're going to continue to salute June as Dairy Month. Take you today to a very interesting cheese operation, the Holmes Cheese Company up at Millersburg. And then to far northwest Ohio to the tomato operation of Carl Neeson Sons. And also today, we begin our grain marketing seminar series with Greg Noble of the Ohio Farmers Grain and Supply Association at Fostoria. Nice to have you with us. Welcome to AgriCountry.
The Alice Chalmers line of lawn and garden tractors is built better by design with features like anti-scalp mower decks, controlled traction, and quality engines to give you years of dependable performance and comfort. See the line of Alice Chalmers lawn and garden tractors from 5 to 27 horsepower at your Alice Chalmers dealer.
Each week here on AgriCountry, we like to open the show with something a bit different. This week, we take you into the Millersburg, Ohio area, into Holmes County, and we're at the Holmes Cheese Company, right inside the plant. And with me, General Manager Bob Ramsire. Bob, certainly nice to make your reacquaintance, both alumni from Ohio State, right. You from the Dairy Tech Department there. And of course, I've worked my way through school by working in the plant, but mainly delivering milk on campus. We talk about the Holmes Cheese Company. What all do you manufacture here?
Well, we're strictly a specialty house as far as cheese, strictly Swiss cheese. But
only Swiss cheese?
Only Swiss cheese, right. Of course, one of the byproducts of Swiss cheese is the whey, and we're selling condensed whey, which we consider a product of our sales also.
And there's an expansion going on right now, Bob, here at the company with the whey.
Right. We're expanding into whey drying. We're presently condensing it and selling it. We're going to dry it into powdered form and sell it in that way.
Well, we're trying to give a lot of emphasis, Bob, during the month of June to dairying and the dairy industry. I salute you people. We well know that cheese manufacturing in the state of Ohio, and especially this part of Ohio, is a very prominent kind of a business. Who's all involved with you here?
Well, I've got my dad and my mother originally started this business, and since then myself and my younger brother have come into the business, and we're all very, very actively involved in the business.
And how many years would the Ramsires go back in the cheese business?
Well, I think you could safely say that Dad's got 60 years in the cheese business. Born and trained in Switzerland, apprenticed here, built his own factory in 1941, and has been in his own business since that time. I've been active in the business since 1960, and my brother since about 1970.
I do know something about dairy plants, Bob. I am impressed with what I see here. It certainly would have to be rated as a very top-notch, high-quality kind of operation. Evidently, this family is also into it to stay.
Very definitely. We're proud of our plant, and we're proud to say that we're one of a few USDA-approved cheese plants in the state of Ohio. And when I say USDA, I mean that we're under USDA inspection and graded accordingly.
Where do you get your milk?
Our milk comes from local producers. We have about 80 local producers producing about 50,000 pounds of cheese. The remainder of 200,000 pounds we buy on the open market from various dairies in Columbus, Youngstown, Pittsburgh, and so forth, wherever the milk is available.
But your dairy producers supplying you here directly would be in this radius?
Right. We have always been buyers of local milk as much as possible.
How much milk would come through here a day?
We're processing right now 250,000 pounds a day, or about 30,000 gallons.
Let's follow that milk now through the Holmes Cheese Company. Take us right from the beginning, right from the truck.
Okay. We receive the milk in tank trucks. We receive only bulk milk. The milk has to be cooled down. We check the bacterial quality and so forth before we receive it. It's pumped into storage tanks. Needless to say, we cannot schedule our production so that we receive the milk one day and make it up the same day, so most of the milk is received and processed the next day. we take the milk out of the storage tank. We do a partial pasteurization on the milk. It goes from there into the make vats, which we're standing in front of right here. We add our coagulants, our bacterial cultures to form the Swiss cheese. We go through a very definite make process where we form the curd, separate the curd and the whey. Once the cheese has been made in those vats, then it's pumped into a molding vat where the whey is allowed to drain off, and we form 200-pound blocks of Swiss cheese.
How much time are we talking about to make Swiss cheese?
That process itself, to actually form the cheese, takes about 2.5 hours. Before that cheese to be ready for sale, to go on the consumer's table, takes about 6 weeks. The cheese, as we make it, has no holes. Of course, Swiss cheese is characterized by the holes, or as we term it in the trade, the eyes.
How do you make those holes?
All right, the holes are developed by the bacterial cultures which we add to it. In the curing process, in about 4 weeks' time from the time we made it, the holes will be developed by carbon monoxide being produced by those bacteria. Once the holes have reached the right size, then we have to get it in cold storage. In cold storage, the eyes won't continue to grow anymore in size, but the flavor keeps developing in the cheese.
I noticed, Bob, that you have a retail store out in front here, but goodness knows your cheese would go a whole lot more places than just that.
Right. We have a main broker or a cutting operation in the Cleveland area who we sell about 95% of our production. We're no longer able to make the cheese, cut it, and put it in a consumer package, and that's what these people do. They take the 200-pound piece of cheese that we make, they cut it, slice it, chunk it, and wrap it, put the price on it, whatever the customer wants. They actually put the supermarket's label on it with the price on it.
How does Swiss cheese, Bob, compare per pound, price-wise, compared to cheddar or American cheese?
Normally speaking, Swiss cheese commands a little bit better price than, say, the Colby or Longhorn type of cheese. When you get into the aged cheddars, they of course command a little bit more price because of the aging and the money involved in supporting that inventory during that aging time. So they command a little bit better price because of the age.
Bob, certainly nice to be here with you during the month of June, Dairy Month. We've been talking with Bob Ramsire, General Manager of the Holmes Cheese Company. They're located about 2.5 miles west of Millersburg, Ohio.
When you think combine, I want you to think Gleaner. Remember that your Alice Chalmers dealer has both the rotary and conventional in 6 different sizes. The Gleaner gives you more capacity, more productivity, and more value for your dollars invested. See your Alice Chalmers dealer today. Wow, what a tomato field. And that's where we are with AgriCountry this week, western side of Hancock County, about 10 miles west of Findlay, Ohio. Lots of commercial tomato production happens in this part of our state. And the tomato crop is a very important crop. And we're at a family operation, like always. And of course, our guest, Carl Neese. We're also going to be visiting with his sons, Dennis, and also with Jerry. And also we're going to be talking at the farm lawn with Jerry's wife, Sherry. Carl, nice to be here. Nice for you to take the time because we want to show the agronomic side of producing commercial tomatoes. How many acres totally in the farm operation here?
Oh, it's a little over 800 acres here. And of course it's divided up in four farms. And we follow a rotation on us. We usually follow after corn or wheat, and then we go to tomatoes or some specialty crop that we grow.
You don't like to think of tomatoes after tomatoes. Why?
Oh, disease problems. We have, I know there's some of it being done and it's worked out fairly well, but I always inclined to think there could be a disease problem come up, so we feel we can grow better tomato less disease problem by going following a corn crop or a wheat crop or a bean crop or any other crop. So we follow a rotation on this.
Fungus more of a problem in tomatoes, Carl, than insects?
They can both be a problem. Fungi, you have to keep on top of it. My oldest son, he takes care of that end of it. He does the spraying, and his name is Kenneth.
How much do you think, as we look at this field of tomatoes, a 40-acre field here, how much investment? Let's not talk land costs now, because that can vary so much, but how much have we talked about when we talk about fertilizer, the plants, the sprays? How much do you think you'll have in cost in an acre of commercial tomatoes?
Well, probably, I don't have the figures with me right now, but it'll run $900 or better an acre, $900 an acre.
For years, you fellows up in this part of the country, there was about 20,000 plus acres of sugar beets, I think, raised in this part of the country. And I understand that a contract was not agreeable between the farmers and the processor. And so you fellows stood up for what you believed in, and now there's no sugar beets.
Well, in the past years, we've always shared profits with the company. And, of course, this past year, the profits weren't very good, but the company then come out and they wanted to give us a straight price. And my son, he's on the board, and he says it was a fair price, but he says it couldn't get any lower. So he says it just looked like the company wanted to take advantage of this if there was any profits to be made, if the sugar would go up.
Do you think there'll ever be sugar beets back in Northwest Ohio again?
It's hard to say.
At this point, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
As we look at the tomato crop, 200 acres here, Carl, would that be more acres than you used to put out or lesser acres?
Well, it's more because we bought a new harvester and we thought we wanted to have a few more acres and try to get the initial cost down on it a little bit.
But our neighbors, would it be common for tomato acreage to be expanding, or are you locked in as to how many acres can be contracted with the processor?
You're locked into the processor to what acres you're going to grow.
Carl, certainly nice to be here with you right in the tomato field. We're going to go from here down to the other side of the farm, and we're going to visit with Dennis. Dennis is going to share with us the seed bed preparation for putting in tomatoes, and also we're going to be right at the planter and talking with Jerry and get updated on how you actually put tomato plants in the ground. Dennis, certainly nice to be here at the operation. We talk about producing commercial tomatoes. When will you fellows begin the actual field work? Will you fall plow or do you spring plow?
Well, this ground here we got a spring plow because it washes pretty easy.
All right, for our viewing friends, take us through the steps. You would plow. What after that? Take us right up to where you've got the beds prepared.
Well, it starts last winter. We put our fertilizer down last winter, and then we plow it, and then we let it dry about a day or so, and then we're just about chasing the plow out pretty near. And we start field cultivating, and well, then we start in right here. We made the beds up right away, and then we went and let them set for a while, about half a week pretty near. Then we went and sprayed our herbicide on, worked it in, and then we followed up with the planter.
Now, what's the final piece of equipment that you use just ahead of the planter?
It's a power bedder. That's what's running right now.
And how far ahead will you work in front of the planter?
Oh, really, we really don't run it unless it's real cloudy and dry like it was there last couple weeks. But if we get a nice little rain, it seals the ground off a little bit, and we just go in and plant.
Jerry, when we plant tomatoes on a commercial basis, first of all, where do you get the plants and how large are the plants that they set out?
Well, basically, the companies usually get the plants for you, and then the plant usually sell them at their price, and they come usually around Tifton, Georgia, and they're shipped up via truck, and within 3 days of ordering, they're here in field.
How do you buy them? By the basket or how?
By the box. They range anywhere from $8.50 to $13.50 a box full.
And how many would be in a box?
$13.50 in a box.
1,350 plants?
You're right, 1,350 plants.
Interesting. good quality plants for you commercial tomato growers a problem?
Yeah, it does. Years we've gone by where we've had pretty bad plants, and then it just seems to go in spurts, through the year. There's different growers down there. Some raise a little better than others. It just depends on the weather down there. If we're getting behind up here, they got to clip the plants because they're too tall and they can't ship them. And if they let sit around a little too long, they get moldy inside and you can't plant them because they won't grow.
What, Jerry, will be the ideal weather for you once you put the plants in today? What are you hoping for from this point on?
Well, weather just like today, let them get established good so they don't get the hot weather and dry out. And then I don't like to see it get any more than 80 degrees, or else when it comes time for blossoming, the blossoms drop off and you get a real uneven set and you can't machine harvest.
How long will it be before they blossom? If we're talking normal weather.
Normal weather, you could be looking at, depending on the variety, anywhere from early July till late August, depending.
Now, someone asked, are we talking about the cherry tomatoes? But we're not, are we? We're talking about the regular size.
Regular 2-inch size tomato.
Now, when the plants go in, any particular technique there that you're concerned about?
Just so they don't get upside down.
So they don't get upside down.
Right.
Can that be a problem?
Oh, no, it's not. Once in a while I get a prankster on board, but other than that, it's you just got to get them planted the right depth, and other than that, it's pretty simple.
How deep will you plant them?
We like to get them anywhere from 4 to 6 inches in the ground. What our shoe on our planter would deliver into the ground.
How many acres can you do a day with this planter here?
Well, it depends on the day how good things go. We've done anywhere from 10 to 18 acres in a day.
Will you do any irrigating here at all?
No, we won't.
Has there been times that you need to?
Yeah, there's times we wish we had it. This farm here generally has got a lot of water veins underneath and it grows pretty good, but there's other ones where it gets kind of a little hard and we need a rain once in a while.
Now across the road here, Jared, there's a field that's already been set. The plants look real good.
Well, they're coming out of it. They've been planted probably a little over 2 weeks right now.
Final question, Jerry. We see tomatoes being hauled in the big semis and large wagons. How do you haul them without them being damaged?
Well, they're getting equipment more nowadays where you can handle them easier. The varieties are getting a tougher skin to them so that they don't bruise as quickly. And really, bruising ain't too much of a problem. It's so they break open and juice out.
Will you haul them in water suspension or will you haul them in dry?
We'll haul them in dry.
And get along fine.
And get along good. The varieties are getting tougher, and we like that better.
Sherry, again, certainly nice to be here at your farm. What are some of the things that you get involved with here?
Well, I run meals out to the fields, and we take the kids along, and we have a little picnic in the grass. They love that. And take messages when the guys aren't around, and run around trying to find which of the farms they're on so I can deliver their messages, and just mainly thing like that. Getting parts from town sometimes, and just errand runner, basically.
So always plenty to do.
Oh yeah, plus this big yard. There's 3 acres of grass here.
Would you be busier now, though, than you would at harvest time? Which is the more hectic?
Oh, I don't know. They're both harvest time, I'd say. They're busy both times, but harvest time, if it's dry and nice and they can get the crops out really quick, it's nice. It slides right by and you don't hardly know it. But sometimes if they have to mud them through, they're out there pushing the wagons and stuff with 1 or 2 tractors even. So some years it gets pretty long.
Well, it's awfully difficult to operate without the ladies. In fact, when we left the farm, I said, now, honey, you get on the little tractor and the hay rake and start raking hay before you head off to teach school. And she teaches school in the afternoon. Sherry, nice to be with you as we chat with you. We're at the Farm of the Nieces, just west of Findlay, Ohio. We invite you to stay tuned to more of AgriCountry. We're going to be back and continue with our marketing seminar with Greg Noble of the Ohio Farmers out of Fostoria right after these messages.
Alice Chalmers introduces the new 8000 series tractors from 106 to 170 horsepower. Choose 20 or 16-speed power-directed transmission or 12-speed power shift. These turbocharged diesels come in 2-wheel drive or front power assist. See the new 8000 series tractors at your Alice Chalmers dealer.
One of the biggest challenges facing farm families across the state of Ohio is that of marketing, to become better marketers. And today on AgriCountry, we begin our grain marketing series, courtesy of the Ohio Farmers Grain and Supply Association and their subsidiary, Farmers Commodity Service. On this series, my guest will always be Greg Noble. And on today's program, we want to talk about some of those marketing terms, Greg, that are used almost every day. Let's begin with local contracts.
A local contract is an agreement entered into between a farmer and a local elevator for delivery of a stated quantity of grain at a specific price during a particular time frame.
You know about basis? What's basis?
Basis is simply the difference between a local cash price and a Chicago Board of Trade futures.
What's hedging?
Hedging by the book is the taking of an equal but opposite position in the futures market that a person has in the cash market.
And what are futures?
Futures are a contract of stated quantity of a particular quality of grain. The only thing that is not determined in that contract is the price.
We hear a lot about basis contracts. Can you put that into short terms?
Very similar to a local contract with one exception. There is no price established. Instead, a basis is stated on that contract and it is to be priced at a later date.
We hear the term margin.
Margin is money required to be put up on a commodity exchange by both buyers and sellers as good faith or security money against a futures contract.
Stop order?
A stop order is one of many different types of orders used in the Board of Trade and commodity trading. A stop order is placed either above or below the market. A buy stop is placed above the market, so if the market trades high enough, it gets you into or out of the market. A sell stop is one placed below the market. If it goes down to a certain point, it's triggered.
People that listen to our broadcast, we talk about new crop. What's new crop?
New crop is the harvest time delivery period for grain. A new crop wheat would be July delivery. New crop corn and beans. Beans, for instance, could be September, October. Corn, usually October, November delivery.
We talk about being long and short.
Long is having an ownership position in the futures market. Short is having a sale or an uncovered sale in the futures market.
Those are some of the terms that we're going to cover in this series with Greg Noble of Farmers Commodity Service, a subsidiary of the Ohio Farmers Grain and Supply Association. Join us next week when Greg and I will discuss local forward contracts. So good to have you with us today. Next week on AgriCountry, we're going to zero in on the soil erosion problem here in Ohio. We'll begin the show. Our guest will be Larry Vance, Chief of the Division of Soil and Water Conservation Districts here in Ohio. Also next week, we'll take you to Northwest Ohio to an excellent hog operation, the hog operation of Cal and Dorothy Esther, not too far from Defiance. And also next week, we continue with our grain marketing seminar series with Greg Noble of the Ohio Farmers Grain and Supply Association at Fostoria. Join us next week for AgriCountry.
Thank you for joining us today for AgriCountry with Ed Johnson, brought to you in part by Alice Chalmers and your local Alice Chalmers dealer. AgriCountry recognizes farm families who produce daily our abundant food supply.